US officials have been informed that Israel is now fully prepared to launch a military operation against Iran.
This is a red line for the leadership of the Islamic Republic.
Confirming to Al Jazeera that the US Defense Secretary has authorized the voluntary departure of military dependents from locations across the Middle East.
Something unusual is happening in the Middle East right now, something that isn't being fully explained. US embassies are emptying out. Planes are flying American diplomats out of Baghdad. Families of US military personnel are boarding early flights from Bahrain and Kuwait. In official language, it's called a precautionary measure, but on the ground, it looks like preparation for war. The order comes directly from Washington. President Donald Trump, back in office, signs off on one of the most significant drawdowns of US diplomatic presence in the region since the Iraq War. The State Department says it's because of unspecified security threats. But there's no mistaking the seriousness of this move. The embassy in Baghdad is operating with a skeleton crew. The consulate in Erbil is scaling down rapidly. In Bahrain, the US Fifth Fleet remains on high alert, but families are given the option to evacuate. In Kuwait, military facilities have begun quietly implementing heightened security protocols. And across the region, US intelligence outposts are watching, listening, and bracing. What exactly is prompting this? Sources point to two converging crises: the failure of nuclear talks with Iran and growing signs that Israel is preparing a military strike on Iranian nuclear facilities. Both situations are escalating, and both have the potential to drag the United States into a new regional conflict. Right now, Iran's nuclear program is the central flashpoint. Negotiations, already fragile, have broken down completely. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirms that Iran has enriched uranium to near weapons-grade levels. Tehran claims it's for civilian use, but Washington, Tel Aviv, and Riyadh are no longer convinced. Intelligence suggests that Iran may be just weeks, possibly days, away from developing enough enriched uranium for a nuclear weapon. And if Israel believes Iran is about to cross that red line, history suggests it won't wait. Israeli forces are reportedly on standby. Their targets are already mapped: Natanz, Fordow, Isfahan. And that's where things get dangerous for everyone. If Israel strikes, Iran won't just hit back at Israel. It will go after US assets too. That includes military bases in Qatar, Bahrain, and the UAE. It includes diplomatic missions. It includes shipping lanes and oil infrastructure. The last time this region came this close to open conflict was in January 2020, after the US killed General Qasem Soleimani. That episode ended with Iranian missiles slamming into American bases. This time, the potential consequences are even larger. President Trump says this evacuation is about deterrence, about protecting American lives before conflict erupts. He announces Mar-a-Lago, emphasizing that the United States will not be caught off guard. But critics warn that the sudden withdrawal could signal weakness. It creates a power vacuum, that it sends a message. The US doesn't want to be involved. And in a region like this, that message can be dangerous. Markets are already reacting. Oil prices are climbing fast. Brent crude shoots past $70 a barrel as soon as the evacuation orders go public. Traders know what this usually means: instability in the Gulf. The Strait of Hormuz, through which a third of the world's oil flows, is back in focus. Insurance companies are raising premiums. Shipping firms are rerouting tankers. At sea, the UK's Maritime Security Agency issues a rare alert for vessels travelling through the Gulf of Oman. US naval vessels begin adjusting their formations. Drones are launched for 24/7 surveillance. Satellites are scanning for missile movements across southern Iran. But this is no longer just about Iran. The entire region is heating up. In Gaza, Israeli operations are intensifying, civilian casualties are rising, Protests are erupting across Jordan, Egypt, and Lebanon. Hezbollah is ramping up its rhetoric in Beirut, warning that any Israeli action in Iran will trigger a wider front. In Yemen, Houthi rebels, backed by Tehran, are allegedly preparing a new wave of drone and missile strikes. All of it points in one direction: escalation. And now, US allies are getting nervous. In Bahrain, government officials release a statement acknowledging the US move. But reading between the lines, it's clear they weren't informed in advance. In Kuwait, lawmakers demand answers. In Saudi Arabia, conversations are happening behind closed doors. The region depends on a visible US presence. When that presence begins to disappear, alarm bells go off. So why now? Why this sudden shift? Behind the scenes, US intelligence intercepts, suggests something urgent. Communications between Iranian commanders hint at potential operations targeting US diplomatic or military personnel. Cyber attacks against Gulf oil companies have spiked in the last 48 hours. And while no one in the administration confirms it, insiders believe that Iran, or one of its proxies, might be planning a preemptive strike in case of an Israeli attack. Trump's strategy appears to be de-escalate exposure while maintaining readiness. That's why US military assets are staying in place, even as families are flown out. Surveillance is increasing. Missile defense systems are being tested and repositioned. Cyber units are on full alert, but the larger question remains: is this a signal that the US is preparing for war or trying to avoid it? The administration insists it's the latter, that this is simply a smart, preemptive measure. But history tells a different story. In the lead-up to the 2003 Iraq War, US embassies underwent a similar drawdown. Before the invasion of Afghanistan, key diplomatic posts were cleared, and each time it began with words like precautionary. The truth is, no one knows what will happen next. If Israel strikes Iran, the entire region could ignite. If Iran strikes first, American lives could be lost. If both sides hold their fire, this moment may pass as just another close call. But right now, embassies are emptying, oil is surging, and allies are on edge. For people living in the Middle East, both citizens and expatriates, this is yet another reminder of how quickly the landscape can shift. Just weeks ago, things looked relatively stable. Now there's a sense of tension in the air, uncertainty, unease, waiting. For the United States, the decisions made in the next few days may determine not only the future of its Middle East presence, but also whether it gets pulled into another major conflict in the region. This is not just a foreign policy story, it's an unfolding crisis, and it's happening now.